Incidental finding of Oleothorax. An 86-year-old woman with hypertension who had been treated for pulmonary tuberculosis in the 1950s presented with burning chest and epigastric pain. She had no respiratory symptoms. After acute coronary syndrome was ruled out, she was treated for gastroesophageal reflux, which relieved her symptoms.
Incidental findings have become a big problem over the last more than a decade, and it's an increasing problem because the frequency with which we detect them and the number of CT scans that we do and the quality of CT scans have all increased the number that we see, but it's not just the number. We haven't really had a lot of guidance to figure out how to manage these. So they tend to be managed in a somewhat haphazard way, and each individual radiologist uses their own judgment, and so it provides an inconsistency in the quality of care that we thought needed to be addressed in the ACR. Well, we started a committee back in 2006 to try to address and create a systematic way to deal with incidental findings. So we formed the ACR Incidental Findings Committee, and what we did culminated in our first paper in 2010, which looked at 4 different types of incidental findings. And since then, we've published 5 more white papers, so now we cover a total of 11 different organ systems where we provide guidance and recommendations for how to manage incidental findings. Well, the papers themselves include tables, or they include flowcharts, so that people can take the information, and what people frequently do, I'm told, is take the flowcharts from the papers and actually post them up on bulletin boards or at their workstation so they can refer to these and pick out exactly the right action to take for any particular type of incidental finding. Now, that's a good start, but it's still a little awkward, and in a busy radiology environment, it can be difficult to do that. So the ACR is actually working to try to assist companies and individuals in creating computerized aids to doing this. For example, creating a guide where when you're dictating a report, you can invoke a type of set of recommendations, and with those recommendations, you can automatically insert the values that are appropriate, and then the text will be put directly into the radiology report. So that and a number of other different ways we're looking forward to in the next few years to be able to provide true real-time guidance at the point of interpretation for radiologists. And it's important to point out that right now the compliance with these kinds of recommendations and other guidelines published by other societies is kind of limited. And it's to provide the highest quality possible, we need good quality and consistency. And so having these kinds of decision support aids will become more important as we go forward to try to make sure that we have the highest level of consistency.
Oleothorax is a historical treatment method for cavitary tuberculosis of the upper lobes of the lungs. It was used prior to the introduction of effective anti-tuberculous drugs, and thus was generally discontinued after the 1950s.
Social scientist from the Wellcome Trust Sanger Institute, and I run projects to explore When you do a whole genome sequence, clearly looking at 20,000 genes and also the bits of DNA between those genes. And there's a lot of information in there that you could choose to look at. But it's not like doing an X-ray of the lung pneumonia and then you inadvertently see a tumour you weren't expecting. Because in sequencing you have to overlay lots of computer algorithms to actually filter the information because there's so much of it. So you don't accidentally stumble upon things, but you can choose to look at things or not look at things. When you do a sequence, you're usually trying to answer a clinical question. So like, why findings, or looking at the secondary findings, that's the term we use in the US, or it could be looking for additional looked for findings, and that's what genomics entails. So they're all talking about the same thing, making a choice to actively look for additional things unrelated to the clinical question you're trying to answer. Because the genome is so large, the question is, what do you pass on to your children, through to looking at how you respond to medications, through to certain data. I mean, there's a whole range of things that you could choose to look at. And so the ethical dimension to this is, what do you choose to look at? Makes that decision, and how do you interpret that data? It's very interesting choosing conditions and genes that are on the list, because it's actually quite subjective. So one person's idea of something that's serious and actionable is not the same as another person's, and it's also possibly quite different from a patient's perspectives as well. The other thing to bring into this is what's technically possible and what's so all these things kind of come into the decision making about which
Applications in medicine is an intra or extrapleural injection of oil, usually paraffin oil, with the intent to either cause collapse of an upper lobe, theoretically promoting healing, to control bronchopleural fistulas, to prevent persistent tuberculosis empyema, or to prevent recurrent tuberculosis pneumothorax. Occasionally, gumenol was added to the paraffin oil for antibacterial activity 1. Usually, the oil was removed after 18 to 24 months. However, many asymptomatic patients were lost to follow up and never had the oil removed.
Incidental findings have always been with us, but with modern diagnostic capabilities, they are becoming far more important and far more frequent. And understanding the rules of the road for all sorts of incidental findings is a major challenge to the healthcare team, to the research community, and also for industry.
Recognizing that, it makes sense to think ahead, to anticipate what they're going to be, what kinds of incidental findings you're going to find, what you think ought to happen when you find it, and to develop a plan.
With an abdominal scan, a CT or an MRI scan, incidental findings occur more than 40% of the time. With a brain scan, incidental findings more than 10% of the time. So it's extraordinarily common these days in a clinical setting that we are dealing not only with findings that we have sought out, but also with unexpected findings generated by the diagnostic tests that we have carried out on our patients.
You know, the goal of doing research is to answer questions. It's not, taking care of people in the same way that you might in a clinical setting.
Pros and cons. Pros: stimulation of pleural fluid production by the oil, prevent persistent tuberculosis empyema, prevent recurrent tuberculosis pneumothorax. Asymptomatic patients were sometimes lost to follow up and the oil was left in place. Cons: possibly complications can occur after many years, including expansion of the oleothorax, causing respiratory distress, rupture of the oleothorax, causing paraffin oil aspiration, bronchopleural fistula, and superimposed infection, including empyema.
Hi, I'm James Freed, and today, as part of our bioethics series for Science TV, I'm here to talk to you about incidental findings. Incidental findings are a problem that have plagued doctors and researchers alike for many years, as there are complex ethical dilemmas surrounding the issue. An incidental finding is the discovery of a potential health threat to a patient that is unrelated to the primary issue being tested for. Whether it's the discovery of a chromosomal mutation during genetic screening, or a malignant tumour during a CT scan. Incidental findings remains one of the most controversial ethical issues within the world of science and medicine, and thanks to the advancements within genomics, the probability of discovering an incidental finding has drastically increased. Incidental findings during research arise during the collection and analysis of research images and data. This can raise difficult questions. Do researchers have an obligation to examine their data for incidental findings? What should they do once they recognize one? How much information should the patient receive, and how much should they be told if their mental capacity is limited?
Issue applied in Ecuador. Actually, there are no records of cases by incidental finding of Oleothorax because it was discontinued after the 1950s. In conclusion, the Oleothorax was an oil injection in the pleural in the course of artificial pneumothorax in order to mitigate the harmfulness of concomitant pleural effusions and prevent the formation of a pleural symphysis. Also was a method of therapy for pulmonary tuberculosis that was largely abandoned in the 1950s.
Well, hello, my name is Dr. Nicholas Orr. I'm a cardiologist and lead author on a paper that's been accepted for publication in Mayo Clinic Proceedings entitled Findings in Elderly Patients Evaluated for Transcatheter Aortic Valve Replacement. In our clinical practice, that incidental findings are common in elderly patients, and this often is a very difficult clinical situation to be in, to know when to work up these findings and when to pursue them with additional diagnostic evaluations. As our elderly patients with aortic stenosis have been evaluated for the new procedure, TAVR, or transcatheter aortic valve replacement, they undergo pelvis looking for suitability for the percutaneous valve replacement. And as a result, we get nice, high-quality diagnostic images with contrast of all the structures outside of the aortoiliac femoral incidental to the relationship with overall survival. So we looked at 424 patients that had severe aortic stenosis and were being evaluated for TAVR, and received a CT scan called a TAVR CT scan. And of these 424 patients, what we found is about two-thirds had at least one potentially pathologic incidental finding. And we define that as basically any finding that was serious enough that it might result in a diagnosis of malignancy or worsening medical condition. And then patients had a clinical workup by the physicians that were caring for them. And what we found is that of those, two-thirds that had at least one finding, we found a total of about 9% of the 424 who had additional evaluation. So these incidental findings that were found kind of by accident. And we found that the TAVR procedures or aortic valve replacements were canceled in over 1% of the cases. And we calculated the number needed to image to diagnose a new cancer or a new major medical condition.
Thank you.